Hi, welcome to the Lewis Bear Junior College of Business. I'm here with our Department of Business Administration Chairman, Dr. John Batchelor. And John has reached a milestone and beyond of 50 peer-reviewed journal articles. So this is research that you've been studying and you have been publishing since the beginning of your academic career. And 50 is really an amazing number. Tell us how you kind of recognized you were reaching that as a milestone.
Well, I had not even thought about it until I saw Dean Keller's when you hit 50 yourself. And then I was thinking about that, and I thought, well, I wonder how many I have.
So how do you carve out time?
Well, I just set goals in my head, you know. Luckily, I have good co-authors that help keep me on task to do the thing. I think that's a big thing, is you have your research groups that you're in, and then you don't want to let them down. So just that feeling in the back of my mind keeps me motivated to do the things I need to do to keep it rolling.
So do you find with your co-authors that you find yourselves talking about directions? Does it change your mind? Does it change the way you think about a certain area of research? How do you operate with teams?
Well, when we start the writing, I've had some papers I thought we were on a certain topic.
Okay.
And then when it was written, we were on almost a completely different topic altogether. You know, so sometimes it's kind of a surprise. Many times I've been the person that was crunching the numbers on the study. So, you know, I would collect data, run it, and all that stuff, and people write the paper. And sometimes that takes a different direction, you know, than if you're writing it yourself. So sometimes there's some surprises in there. I just want to thank all my co-authors I've ever had. First, people that I worked with directly during my PhD program and directly after are the ones that really got things rolling, and we learned a lot from each other. I appreciate them taking the time and patience with me. So, and then research has changed a lot, and you know, from when I started. Well, I used to spend a lot of time coding, meta-analyses, and just by the nature of technology and AI, and that's just changed, you know. And as you said, the whole process is a lot faster than it used to be. I remember writing code a lot early on, and that's something I don't rarely do now, but that was extremely time-consuming back in the day. But I used to fight change. I used to hate it. So I had a friend of mine. You can continue doing the same thing and be left behind, or be the best at it. You know, it's like those are your two options. You know, left behind or become the best. And I thought, well, I can't argue with that. Trying to learn the new stuff and accepting change is part of what we go through.
How do you use AI in your research now? How can it be used in a way that is responsible, doesn't threaten your work or the work of others?
Well, there's multiple AIs out there, you know, and when people that do research or in general, you're always looking for that new AI that can do something new, right? So the same friend that told me about online classes to get with it or fall behind, same thing with AI, right? So he's always talking to me about different ones, and I'm out trying to find some, and we compare and discuss. So with writing, I use multiple AIs at once. Some of them help me find references. Other ones help me take those references and create a database and then write with those references. And then others help me proofread, and I have other ones that make outlines. So between 4 or 5 different AIs, I'm able to piece together things much more quickly than I could have in the past.
Do you have any 1 or 2 papers that you think, this really helps define me, or I really discovered something there?
Yeah, well, my very first paper I ever published was that I learned a lot from that one. Me and one of my PhD professors and one of my fellow PhD students, we wrote a paper in one weekend. It was a meta-analysis on intelligence and body symmetry. And I remember I was at the beach with my family and locked myself away in the basement of this house we had rented and spent, I think, 3 days coding, analyzing, and writing. And me and a friend of mine, as I said, from my PhD program. And we wrote that whole paper in, I'd say, 3 to 5 days total, from beginning to end. And we had it accepted within just a few weeks, and then it was in probably the best journal I've ever published in.
Really?
You know, right out the gate. And then in meta-analysis, they talk about, is the area of study ripe for meta-analysis? Meaning, are there enough studies to do a meta? And that one had become ripe, so we want to be the first ones to jump on it. And that's why we did it so quickly. And but that taught me that it doesn't take years and years to write a paper.
Okay.
But then a meta-analysis can take the sampling error and all these different studies' findings to give you a better idea of what the true effect may be. I owe everything to everybody I published with. I'm not one of those solo author guys that did stuff by itself all the time. So it was really my co-authors. I had the best co-authors in the world, in my opinion, and that's what really got me here.
Well, thank you. Thanks for
All
being
right,
here.
thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks for
sharing
having
with
me.
us. Congratulations on your 50 plus, because I know you've hit more since then. But thanks for sharing with
All
us
right.
today.
Thanks for having me.